Division S, baby! Time to shine! Just coming back from a little trip to Germany, visiting friends, family, grandmother. Not quite a vacation, but definitely kind of nice. Grandmother turned 85, and every single time she's telling me that she's going to die next year, so I have to come to her birthday. We have like a bit of an argument there, already calculated perfectly for her that she has to live at least 100 if she ever wants to have grandchildren and a chance to actually get to know them. So we're having a little bit of a deal there, and yeah, so it's a little bit of an interesting back and forth, and every single time someone else is in the room, you can see that everybody is weirded out, how I'm like talking about how she's not allowed to die before that happens, and she's saying like, oh, I'm already too old. But yeah, at least for the two of us, it's always a lot of fun, and yeah. At this point, we have a little bit of Heroes though, and I'm kind of happy about that, because 5 days in Germany was kind of okay, but at the same time, not really having proper PC, not getting any Division S action was a little bit weird. Now we're going to a best of 5 with Washed Up and Wind on Rain. And Washed Up with a ban on Tyrael right away, right from the get-go. So now we're having also Dibbles and Zeratul eliminated. You can already tell that the patch is now a little bit older. So we're roughly, how long are we in? Like a week? It's more than a week, right? It's like 1.5, roughly. And therefore Zeratul makes it into the ban pattern again. At the beginning, people just figuring it out. Do we have to ban Zeratul still? Most did, because Zeratul, even though he had nerfs to the cleave build, is still fantastic when it comes to the setups around the Void Prison. So nobody really wanted that to be a problem. And yeah, there we have the ban on Tracer, so they get her out of the equation. No Maka shenanigans on Infernal Shrines, but there's still the Mephisto card that he can play if they really want to. It's a little bit of a question how early they would commit to that, though. That's something that I still want to find out here. And for now, it's my F. Alright. Well, the Warden is in the house. We're pretty happy for this one. This is another one of those maps where we could see Mena's Kel'Thas again. We've seen it a little bit more now in Division S than we had in the past in HGC. So Mena definitely relying on Mr. Salami a little bit more than he did before. And it's actually pretty cool. I mean, we saw some really cool games with that, but obviously it's more so a pick that you would take then later on in the draft and not as an early pick. Again, people oftentimes in YouTube comments, for example, ask, where the hell is Kel'Thas? Why is he not picked and banned? And the reason is simple. Outside of Wood League, the higher you climb in the game, the less good Kel'Thas gets. That's just the thing. And on the higher level of competitive play, he's usually not a massive force to be reckoned with. He can be a pick, but he's not really one of those insta picks that you oftentimes see, and is only rarely a choice. But on Infernal Shrines, you can make good arguments for him. So Hanzo gets picked first, and Nubarak comes in. We're seeing Malfurion and Leoric coming into play now. So Max Passion looking for that trade value again. It's like one of the first times that we actually see the boys here without even a single damage deal on the back line just yet. What else do we have with this? The ban is coming through. Do we see the Mephisto ban? Nah, Johanna. Jojo got changed, obviously, and she is now a little bit better on maps where she was already strong to begin with, and Infernal Shrines obviously is one of them. So in this case, Washed Up banning her out. We've seen Backhold play quite a bit with Tyrael and with Johanna. And since Wind and Rain didn't react in the first 2 ban phases for them, they didn't pick the front line. So we still have a few up that could be played here. But those are at least out of the equation. Tyrande gets also banned out, so no Nubarak follow-up after JPL initiates here. They need to be a little bit more careful around that. And again, I've been talking about this in previous videos, but as you see that draft unfold, Ana, again, not really targeted super early. So she's definitely fallen slightly. We've still seen her picked in quite a few of the games that were played after the patch came out. But as you can tell, the priority where you have the early Ana ban or an insta Ana pick is definitely gone. She's still picked here, but keep the position in mind. She gets picked quite late. Malfurion is already taken over her. Tyrande got banned out. So it's not this insta, hey, Ana first pick priority anymore that we have. But obviously with Jaina, the nano boost still does work, even though the healing capabilities of Ana have now been slightly reduced. Still a good pick here for them with the setup that they're running. We're still missing the off lane, could even be Blaze again, and there's the Mephisto pick, as we said before. Make, known for his Mephisto, one of the few teams that actually enlist the hero in their setup, and Backhold going into Garrosh doesn't really shock too much. I mean, we could have seen something along the lines of Muradin, but obviously that's not quite the best map for him, necessarily speaking. Even though Muradin obviously is now stronger. But let's have a look at our last pick here on the side of our team in blue. Eternal. Urel makes sense. Gets the armor. Anything that really keeps the heroes alive a little bit, being it a Blaze, being it Urel, makes a lot of sense here. Can always like make arguments, and Eternal played a lot of Urel. So with that said, Infernal Shrines, first map in the best of 5 series here at Division S. Let's jump right in and see who's gonna take the lead here. Washed Up the favorite in the series, but let's see what Wind and Rain can do on map number 1. Game number 1, Infernal Shrines with Washed Up starting in blue on the left side. Hazu Ops on Jaina, we have JPL on Anubarak, Eternal on Urel, Mena on Hanzo, and Smexy on Ana. And over to the right side of the map, Wind and Rain starting in red today with Make on Mephisto again on our first map, Galgulnar on Malfurion. We have Berkhold on Garrosh, Max Passion on Leoric, and Skok is playing Maiev in our first game. Time to shine, ladies! Let's see how this is going to pan out. I'm already excited for this series. Should be a good one, actually. Favorite, obviously, Washed Up, but still, we're always seeing Wind and Rain throw these curveballs, and I want to see if they can be successful today against the lineup that they're playing against here. So, let's have a look at this. For now, when it comes to the setup, again, Ana makes it into the game, but obviously with a lower priority than we've seen in the past. We talked about it during the draft. Nice tether here already in the mid lane. Bit of a 5 versus 5 skirmish, but no real threat just yet. Obviously, one of the dynamics that we've been talking about quite a bit in the past as well is that Anubarak has to be a little bit more passive. Oftentimes you would have seen a deep dive from him here in the early seconds of the game. But against Garrosh, you have to be a bit more careful with that, or you will be punished for those movements. So we're definitely going to see JPL playing this a little bit safer than he would usually do with this particular lineup. We're still seeing quite a bit of that combo, obviously, with especially Jaina. And Jaina into Garrosh is actually quite a nice hero, just simply because she can also slow him down naturally without even having to invest into elite talent or anything like that. So just having the slows there and keeping him at bay is always pretty fantastic. Up to the top lane, we're seeing Max Passion against Eternal, so just our one-on-one setup. Nothing really should happen there too much as long as Max Passion is able to hit his drains. Having a bit of a camp focus now from Wind and Rain early on in the game already, which also leads to them having a slight lead in experience. It's actually kind of interesting that with Leo now moving in the middle, it seemed a bit like Washed Up was trying to intercept the rotation, hoping for rotation there. And we actually have a little bit of a spike problem here. That's kind of unfortunate. Honestly worries me a little bit. Sometimes Heroes is acting up, and that is gonna be one of those games, it seems. It is heavily unfortunate. I hope that this is going to be resolved without anything to be done on my end, because as I said, we had some issues with that in the past. Here's a little bit weird. Like the engine sometimes can cause some troubles, even though it shouldn't, but either way. For the time being now, we're having, in terms of builds, Ana still with the grenade build, but as I said before, the healing of her has been nerfed in the latest patch quite a bit, so she is still picked, but she's not that automatic insta pick that you normally see, or that you have seen in the patch before. So with that said, we're now having also the static barrier again, the lightning nova focus that we're seeing from Mephisto here. Over to the top right, we're currently having Skok and Galgulnar already setting up their own camp, trying to time that. Now, obviously, that shrine spawns topside, the first one, so that camp is going to get limited value, but it's still going to get some. We're having also a later commitment by Washed Up to their shaman camp as well, making sure that they're getting some counterbalance there. And Uberak actually still pushing out another wave at the bottom of the map before he starts to rotate towards the top side again. And we're having Washed Up also with the delay to pick on the Khazra camp here, so they have a bit more pressure coming through the middle now, whereas everybody else is already accumulating up to the top. And when you look at the build that we're seeing for Anoop, he actually goes for the engage build. So we're having now Under King taken, and very likely going to see the Subterranean Shield just shortly after. With this set, Eternal starting to jump in here, all the way up to the top. Already jumping out. And they're taking the position on the shrine here. 15 against 10, currently the stacks, and they're starting to take the position again, but now with Max Passion moving in, it's starting to become that 5 versus 5 that we were all expecting for the first one in this setup. And they're starting to jump in with Eternal leading the charge here. Hooves first on Urel, the tether is in, and there's also quite quickly Lightning Nova as they're using it. Nice throw against Smexy though. Have to try and keep Anna alive, but that's already a moot point since Anna is down. The Auric falls shortly after, but that's a cooldown that is not really a problem. The second kill on the other hand against the Nuburak, and that's a much bigger deal. Down goes Urel, and that's 3 heroes eliminated as we're seeing Wind and Rain take a significant lead at this point, at least in the first fight. So actually pretty well done here by them. And this is honestly a little bit scary right now, because that was extremely well played from Wind and Rain. Keep in mind, they only lost Leo, and as I've said 1,000 times in the past, in the early fights in the game, if you can sacrifice Leo but get counter kills in the process, that is always a win for you. It's always a massive, massive win, because you're sitting in a setup where you're trading the low death timer of Leo and the revive on point against someone who will have to travel all the way from the Nexus back into the middle of the map to rejoin the fight. So this was obviously then also a pretty advantageous trade, simply because they traded 1 for 3. But yeah, Leo sacrificing himself in those early fights is always good, as long as you get counter value. So that's obviously the little caveat to that little setup here. But in this particular case now, we have 3 kills against 1, we have the wall broken through, it's the early Punisher, so it doesn't really do too much just yet, but it's definitely a small start, or a good start for Wind and Rain into all of this. So right now, we're having another invade onto the camps. We've been talking about how diligent they were about claiming those. Smexy at this point pausing the game, and he's the one that got actually caught by Garrosh, and that's a big one of the problems. If he gets flipped in, he has really no chance to escape at this point. We're having Mena now splitting off down to the bottom of the map to get some experience, but generally speaking, XP is still fairly similar, as you can also see over here. Minion experience pretty much identical, mercenary experience no big deal. The big difference comes currently from the heroes experience, and this is something where those 3 kills come into play. So it's not really a big problem yet. You're not going to end up in a situation on this map where you are starting to get snowballed by your opponent because they have a talent advantage going into the objective. Unless we're seeing Washed Up screwing up in one of the rotations now and losing another hero or 2, they should get level 10 roughly around the same time that their opponent does, and then have a fairly even fight around that. The problem really comes once we're heading into the later stages, if that discrepancy gets even larger a little bit, and then you sometimes have a situation where one team can pull heavily ahead simply because they are so far ahead in experience that they always have a talent advantage going into these fights. But there's a lot of kill potential that we're seeing from Washed Up through that nano boosted Jaina after level 10, and that's something where Wind and Rain has to be careful. But as you can tell here, Mako currently already sitting on 7,000 damage. We're seeing Maiev with nearly 10k, so definitely getting those CDRs in and starting to get a lot of damage done in those close quarter fights. It's going to be up to Mako though to deliver the damage in the later stages. And Mako is so successful with Mephisto lately that not only was the hero banned out against him over and over again, at the same time we actually saw some teams already emulate exactly this pattern, and one of the teams is Nothing Left. They have started to also adopt Mephisto as one of the heroes to be played in those setups. Now, when it comes to the deaths on the other side, though, everyone that you see here, basically with the Nuburak and Urel, they're going to get a lot tankier towards the later stages of the game, so that's going to be beneficial for them, because right now they get blown to pieces pretty quickly. But the Nuburak in particular wants to rely on the extra 500 HP he gets through the Regeneration Master, and now that we're having level 7 talents also on the board, that means he has the Subterranean Shield as well, which is actually pretty fantastic, not only if you engage into the team fight, but also if you're trying to just move out and save yourself here. Obviously Urel's ult is also contributing to that later on too, and now we have the cooldown reduction for Urel, so she's going to get that armor bonus a little bit more often for the teammates. But at the end of the day, a lot of this comes really down to Smexy's positioning and him making sure that he doesn't get engaged upon by Garrosh as happened in the last fight, because if he falls, then the entire sustain is gone, and then it's going to be pretty tough for them to get anything done here. And at this point, as we said, it's Smexy who actually paused the game, so maybe he had a couple of issues there throughout the fight that he's currently trying to fix. But be it as it may, as soon as the game continues, we are going to have the two teams fight for level 10 and try to get ready for the next shrine in this first map. And we're back to business. Game is on once again. And yep, let's get the show on the road here. I actually think it was the red team that might have, or both of the teams that might have had some issues here. But either way, the aggression is there as JPL is trying to get a lock onto Skok and his Maiev. Doesn't quite pan out for them, but they are definitely actively attempting to now get something done here. Mena gets healed up by Smexy, who's going straight for the sniper skills. There's also a little bit of action happening here in the middle of the map. Urel is trying to push that out, but there comes again Shade of Mephisto. Maka gets the damage, zones out around the camp, so another one taken. And this is now the dangerous period for Washed Up, because they need to make sure that they're not falling once level 10 is on the board for Wind and Rain. That is where you have to be a little bit more passive. It's also Eternal is trying to meet the rotations of Leoric on the map, but is a little bit slow on those. So now we have level 10 and probably the attempt to go for a fight, and yeah, that's exactly what happens. Wind and Rain is aggressively trying to get the camp here, invades it quickly as they have level 10. And is not really committing a whole lot to this on the other hand though. Starting to go, and this is a little bit slow, but with level 10 abilities they're still able to make this. Keep in mind, the Durance of Fate are going to be really important here as well. And we don't have Tranquility. Instead, we are actually seeing again the Twilight Dream for Malfurion, which also means now, of course, that he is going to try and time this properly after an engage on the side of Washed Up to make sure that they're having a tough time getting anything done here. Talking about having a tough time, Maka gets attacked. The arrow comes out. Oh my god, the ring! Beautiful setup here. So first we're seeing the stun from JPL, then the arrow follow up, and the ring right on top of it. A lot of cooldown sacrifice for the kill, but hashtag worth it as they are adding a second one to the setup here. Incredibly well done. So 2 kills for Washed Up, and all of a sudden experience is completely even between the two teams, as is the kill count. Great arrow there from Mena as well, and a very, very nice setup that they just had against not only Mephisto but also Garrosh. So job well done as we're heading into the next shrine. And again, look also at the cooldown of those heroic abilities. They will be back just in time for those shrine fights. So sometimes it can be in the early game, around level 10, around level 11, be a bit of a concern if you use too many heroic ability cooldowns before the objective spawns, because the death timers are still lower than those cooldowns. But in this case, it actually works out quite nicely. When the shrine is active, they still have to wait for Jaina. She's 13 seconds out, but that's not too much. There's definitely time you can buy. And they're already starting to just simply poke a little bit. There comes the disc on the other hand, maybe out a bit early, but there's the root on the ground, and the taunt comes in too. Mena with the arrow, there's the ring, and then Uberak dies, but so does Garrosh. Already 2 down, and the nano boost on Hazorps obviously does wonders here. They're trying to make the play for Khaldor Gulnar, and there's Urel just jumping straight into the face of Malfurion. They're trying to go for Mako and his Mephisto, but they can't secure the kill. Skok and Max Passion are still on the point, pretty close actually when it comes to the objective itself now. Nice vault of the Wardens here. Maka moving in again after tapping on the fountain, but the position has been taken by Washed Up as they are going straight for it. And this is looking pretty dope now for Washed Up as they have 5 kills against 4. They have the small, tiny lead in experience, and they're pretty much guaranteed to get this Punisher, with which they can now start to move through the mid lane, push that out, try and open up the wall, maybe even get the fort if they can net themselves another kill. Now starting to get a lot more powerful with this. And that talent comes at the perfect moment in time. Look at this, they're even delaying it. They're even delaying this so that they have time to push out additional lanes here. So they're not getting the last minion stack that they need. Push out the lanes, rotate back in, and now make the play. JPL wants the 2 globes, but he doesn't get them. He only gets 1. Would have loved to get a little bit more. He's not the only one. Jaina, for example, wanted another one as well, but gets it shortly after, and therefore completes the level 1 quest. And they're breaking through this. Leo, in the meantime, is still sitting topside, but that wall has fallen, and they're starting to put the damage onto the fort itself. The cocoon comes already out as they're making the play for Maiev, pushing her back in. There's the ring, not hitting, neither does the arrow, flies through, but they had to dodge it, and all of a sudden Maka is in trouble, and he might fall. Gets saved, actually, by Berghold. Garrosh with the plays here, and even a quick entomb against Smexy. Great play by Wind and Rain, honestly. Dodging out most of the abilities, saving targets. Oh, Khaldor Gulnar is just barely alive on his Malfurion. The Punisher wanted him, but actually was killed before he could deliver the final blow. Be it as it may, though, they did a great job securing that position, but they lost the fort. So it's a little bit of a bittersweet situation for Washed Up. They were able to take the structure, but they couldn't get the kills that they were looking for. Well, as I say, they're trying to go again for Khaldor. He survives again! But there's the Urel kill after Leo has fallen. Skorklo gets now his own ult out. Ana falls too. What a brawl in the middle here. What an absolute slaughter. And they're burning JPL down, and that cockroach is just done. Trying to jump out here, but that didn't work out either. Nicely done by Wind and Rain here. What a perfect fight, honestly. That was quite something. Like, a lot of credit here really goes to Backhold. Not only saving Galnagulnar multiple times, but Malfurion himself, obviously, surviving. I mean, seriously, that guy was below 50 HP, I think, 3 times during that fight. With heroes being close to him that just wanted to deliver a final punch and take him down, and it didn't work out for them. So really, really nice battle for Wind and Rain here. And now with even kills, they actually are slightly ahead in experience, despite the fact that they lost one of their structures. Absolute insane setup here. Up to the top, on the other hand, Tarzop's already trying to defend, as we have Max Passion pushing out another wave. He sacrificed himself earlier once again. By now, the Abhorred Skull taken by Mephisto. Talking actually about Mephisto. He's already trying to put a bit of additional damage down to the bottom of the map. 16s are ready, and after we had the Shadow Armor on 13, we now have the Armored Assault on 16. Plus additionally the Animosity taken, so even more of a focus into the Lightning Nova on the hands of Mephisto. The tiny lead in experience, but it's not really a whole lot. But you can tell that the damage output is now heavily in favor of Make when it comes to the red team. It's not quite on the same level as what we're seeing from, let's say, Hanzo, and even Jaina is ahead of him, but they still get the kills. So all good in the hood for the time being for Wind and Rain. And they're going to try and make it hail right now. Well, there's a storm brewing on the horizon, and the red team is trying to unleash it onto Washed Up, as they are starting to take more of a passive stance on the map. But they have the level 60 now, which means we get the epicenter and we have the northern exposure. So a couple of fantastic setups for them here too. In the meantime, we're still seeing our little setup here in the middle of the map. Starting to move up to the top. Galnagulnar, alright, sitting there already. Maka moving in too. Skok sitting tight. They're starting to go for the camp. We see the same also happening down here at the left side. So Washed Up and Wind and Rain both trying to get the pressure through the top lane as the objective spawns bot side. So exactly on the other side of the map, trying to create that additional friction point. Jaina's actually sticking around a little bit longer. I was honestly wondering if Harzops on Jaina would wait another round of cooldowns to just push that lane out even further. But in this case, they decide against it. Once again, we have the move in. Arrow comes through. Not really a long distance one, though. In comes the containment disc. Ah, the ring, the entomb. Everything is thrown into the fray here. So we're all of a sudden seeing a lead, and a massive one at that for Washed Up. But the aggression from Wind and Rain puts them back onto the point, but then Malfurion falls. Eternal still fighting, gets thrown over by Backhold. Once again, the isolation. Max Passion has been driving out everybody else in the backline and creating some space for that kill against Urel, but Leo falling also secures another Punisher now for Washed Up. Yeah, he's going to be back a lot quicker and is going to respawn right on the spot, but at the same time, those death timers, even for Leo, are now starting to increase quite a bit. So with that said, we're now having another fort about to fall. Top lane pressure by Maka, by the way, as he allows that Shaman camp to get even more damage done against that fort, potentially even taking it down. But down at the bottom of the map, with 18 now on the level board for Washed Up, they're trying to make the play for the first keep of the game. We're 14 minutes in, and that Punisher is still freaking strong. 80% HP, but they're actually not committing. They're moving away instead. They're actually going to lose the top side here, so at the end of the day, if you think about it, it's a trade in forts that we're getting out of this. And there's not really a whole lot that Washed Up gets out of this now. It's not really a whole lot. I mean, the Punisher at the bot lane has broken through the wall, so that's definitely something, don't get me wrong. But in terms of experience, they're not too far ahead. They make the rotation towards the top side to at least get some value over here on the last fort, but they haven't even taken down the fountain. Can always poke against it. Then again, JPL going back for mana. Needs to try and get that right now. Harzops, Menes, Mexi all still sitting tight here, trying to take the super safe paths in the rotation so that they don't fall victim to a trap. And that's actually super important this late in the game, because vision becomes more and more important as those death timers continue to increase. So you're trying to show as little information to your opponent as you possibly can. I mean, you can always see that a few of these heroes are hiding in the shadows and not really committing to anything, just simply because they do not want to give Washed Up that vision. And Washed Up is making the same plays here. JPL, super safe here in the back, trying to get some vision for his team, trying to make sure that they also don't know where he is. And as long as Bakul and his boys don't know where Anubarak is, they have to be careful. They also don't know where Jaina is. They see the camp now taken, so they definitely have a bit of an idea. But as long as they had no vision whatsoever, Hazorps was free to take this, since Anubarak was pretty much anchoring over here at the side. Now Leo obviously has his escape tools and is currently trying to push out lanes even more aggressively. To not only put pressure on this, gets already pinged back here. But there's a massive rotation coming his way. Should still be fine. And is starting to move out, but having some trouble here. Alright, yeah, so Max Passion just moving through. Starting to go in. And nap. There's the Wraith Wall. Easily moving away from this one. Not really a big problem for him. To the bottom of the map, on the other hand, with level 20 now in the hands of Washed Up, we're seeing Wind and Rain pushing this out too. And yeah, right now, I mean, with the 20, Seraphim obviously taken. We have the Rewind again. We're seeing Bullseye. And it's starting to become dicey around the Anubarak, because this Rewind is such a massive power spike, it's honestly crazy. Like, that Rewind allows you to just... I mean, you can just get an entire CC chain off all by your lonesome here. On top of that, we are having, obviously, now also Buried Alive, which is a huge game changer, as we've seen plenty of times in the past. Mimic, another fantastic tool for the Shrine fights in particular. And on top of that, also the Astral Communion now from Malfurion. So I'm talking about Anubarak and what he can now pull off for the team, especially, of course, preparing something for Jaina to capitalize on. But let's not forget those 20s on the other side are pretty insane as well, especially around Leo. If he hits the Buried Alive, I don't want to say that's a guaranteed kill, because it's kind of not, but it's definitely an extremely powerful tool. So yeah, definitely something to keep your eyes on here. But yeah, let's have a little bit of a look on how this play onto the top shrine now pans out, because this is the one where the game could really already be decided, depending on who takes it. Since there is no fort anymore for Washed Up, and depending on how many kills you take, it could end the game right there. Even though I gotta admit, if Washed Up wins the fight, it's a little bit unlikely that they can end the game immediately. But they might try. I mean, again, there's also an open up wall at the bottom of the map, so if you're actually getting a team wipe or something like that, you can make the rotation down to the bottom, especially since you run an Anubarak, who can spawn the beetles and soak a few of the keep shots as you're trying to take it down. In terms of damage, still 34,000 on the side of Mephisto. He's pretty much keeping up with Jaina. Hanzo with his poke damage is far ahead of everybody else. Arrow comes in, and the immediate Indomitable. That's a low. That cooldown on the other hand was burned on the Buried Alive. Didn't really do anything. But there comes the ring, and that ring connected. The problem is it's not the only thing that connected here. Down goes Anubarak. They're going in for the kills, and Maka in particular is starting to get serious value against Hazorps and Smexy here. Is starting to jump in again. He wants to kill against Ana. Oh, and Ana falls. Yeah, Maiev with the final hit, but now Jaina has also been obliterated, and that's another 3 heroes down. As we are seeing them moving straight towards the keep. They're not even bothering with the objective at this point. They're 17 ahead, so they're apparently trying to go for the keep itself first. I'm not quite sure if they can get more than that, but they're definitely eager to make sure that they're taking the keep down before they even think about the objective. But that was a brutal fight here. That was definitely not something that Washed Up expected, and great setup. Even with Buried Alive missing. But so many of the cooldowns that Washed Up initially unleashed did just not find their target. And then they had Wind and Rain capitalize on the situation. And they do not care about that Punisher at all. They're trying to go for game. And they're also trying to get the kills now. They're going for Urel again. The arrow comes out for Mane, but the problem is that Eternal is dead just as Anubarak comes back. I'm not 100% certain that Wind and Rain can end now, though. Especially with Malfurion gone. All of a sudden, you don't have your sustain any longer. There's the Buried Alive against Hanzo, and he dies. Nicely done. Without any of his skills and his escape tools ready, he falls quickly. And now they still have to fight for that objective, though. I mean, there's 2 down on the other side. Don't get me wrong. It's still a 3 versus 4. You have to be a bit careful here. There's the taunt. There's the Mephisto's ult. Oh, but the ring. That ring hurt. Cocoon came out and saved JPL. We're starting to see them go straight in again with... maybe... he doesn't have his Entomb or his Buried Alive ready yet. Should still be able to take that Punisher on the other hand. I mean, they still have that Fountain topside. And keep that in mind. I talked about that Fountain earlier, that it wasn't taken down by Washed Up, and now actually it plays a huge role. Because all of a sudden, they don't have to fall back too much. Backhill is currently waiting for the cooldown to be ready. Has it. Starts to go in. And they should still be able to take this one. They might even be able to get another kill here. They're already setting it up with Maiev. Or at least trying to. What? That was an interesting one. That Buried Alive, I kind of feel that should have connected, no? That looked a little bit weird, to be honest with you. Yeah, that arrow came out of nowhere and it went nowhere. So that didn't do anything. But yeah, with that said, in comes Eternal again with a big jump into that back line. Obviously, Backhill currently sitting tight there too. Yeah, the kids keep coming. And down to the bottom of the map. One keep nearly down, the one in the middle nearly eliminated. Down goes Maiev, and all of a sudden this entire game turns. Down goes Backhill. Garrosh is dead, Leo is dead too, and one keep at the bot lane has just fallen, and guess what, with the catapult here, this one is going to kiss its life goodbye in a few seconds as well. So all of a sudden, Washed Up has a lead, but they lose Ana. This game is all over the place right now. Eternal again jumping in, trying to go for the kill against Malfurion. He dodges everything except for Hanzo. And now that's the end of it. Maka, the sole survivor here with 77,000 damage. He's just doing whatever he can to somehow go for it. They have 32 already on the objective, but there's only one survivor. Leo's going to be back soon, so they might be able to get the Punisher after all. Problem is there's a double catapult now also on the core. And again, this one is going to fall too. So they have to win this. They honestly have to take it. If they take the Punisher, they have at least a chance to maybe end the game here. But it's still a 2 versus 4 that we're playing on the map right now. The Punisher is taken. There's the Buried Alive. They're trying to get some value out of this. And Max Passion is moving out. Maka comes in with the ult. Oh, he burns them down quickly. But Maka... yeah, that's the end of Mephisto. And we're having Leo die too. But the keep in the middle has fallen. There's no keep down at the bottom. The Punisher is the only one to walk over towards the core. So it seems like this is going to be... gonna be taken down quickly. 95%. And the Punisher baited into the middle to get a bit more damage onto the keep there. But this game is all of a sudden pretty insane. I mean, we're talking 23 minutes already. And it is a very, very interesting setup that we're seeing here. So, it's a weird one. It's honestly a weird one. Win and Rain thought that after the win, the initial fight, after they won the initial fight at the top, they could end. They took the keep and then didn't retreat for the objective, but went for the core, and it turned out they couldn't end yet. And now, when you look at the map, they actually lost 2 keeps. So they traded 2 keeps for 1 in their attempt to end the game, which didn't quite work out. And the game is more or less reset at this point. I mean, we're 23 levels in for both of them. And yeah, with that, we're now having also everybody just shocking around and trying to obviously wait for the next objective to spawn. But things are starting to become dicey. You win one more fight and then you're pretty much the winner of this game. Let's be honest. I mean, 2 keeps down each, or well, 3 keeps down total. There's definitely an open avenue towards the core. Catapults are becoming an issue too. 24 minutes in, those Winions are starting to really get some value. That is an interesting one. That just misses Backhold. Oh, that could backfire. Alright, Hazop still double checks. That was a good move by Hazo. Despite the fact that they could see pretty much everything except for that bush, they assumed that there could still someone be in that particular situation. So with that, we're having now a quick move down to the bottom of the map with a camp and 2 catapults. Someone has to deal with this, which is exactly what Leo is currently supposed to do. So he's starting to make his move down to the bottom to take care of this. Yeah, starts to move in. In the meantime, we're currently having in the middle Maka and his voice dealing with another catapult. I mean, you have to be cautious right now. You can't really just... Every single hero that gets split from the team needs to have an escape. If you get caught and you lose a hero right now, this is pretty much the end of the game. Or it puts you in a very, very awkward spot where the chances of you winning the next fight are diminished by quite a bit. So they're trying, like, everybody's anchoring as many of the players as they can. Super safe play by Mena. There's a little bit of a bush setup here because they want to take this camp later so that they have even more pressure through the top lane, even though the fight obviously will center around the middle. But yeah, they're just super patient here. There's nothing really to do. And at the same time, you see the same for Wind and Rain. They don't want to run into a trap. They want to play this safe. They want to sit tight. And they keep Leo just to move the lanes out. They have obviously 2 lanes that pressure against them, so they need to be careful around this. And Hazops, as you could see in the minimap, is pretty much doing the same. Once that this is pushing in, he will take down 2 of the catapults. But keep in mind, if they take this camp, it will mean that their top lane is not going to pressure this aggressively against them. Hazops already with a safe setup is waiting for the minions to collide so that he can move in. Shrine is activated now too, as both of the teams are getting ready for this. But yeah, Hazops burns this down quickly, and the catapults are obviously the main target. Ana already starting to take this, so they won't have a problem on the top lane for quite a long time. That's all this is about. That's all this is about at this point. So they're starting to go straight in again for the situation right here, trying to make their little play. JPL already sitting in position, starting to get the stuns through. So far we haven't seen any ults committed just yet, but yeah. Make no mistake, this is all about who gets the kills right now. Hazops and Eternal sitting at the side here. Mena's waiting for that arrow. In comes the move against Backhold. Backhold gets melted and goes down. Garrosh dead, and now the engage against the backline again. Maiev in trouble, and that's the second kill. The third one is coming through against Leoric, and that should be game right here. Make in trouble. Galne Gulnar also low. They're starting to go in for those kills, and they are getting them. Mark is about to fall. Galne Gulnar is also about to die here too. Mephisto falls, and yep, that's the Malfurion kill in the waiting that we're seeing here. And obviously Catapult's already starting to push through the middle. Those alone are going to end the game, but the rest of the team is also starting to make their way over towards the core to take that down. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be game for Washed Up. They're going to take the lead here in this particular series in the best of 5. The 1-0 against Wind and Rain. No hopes for the red team to defend this, actually. The core are just rushing down in HP, and well, Furion as the only survivor doesn't stand a chance here. So Washed Up takes the lead in the best of 5 against Wind and Rain on Infernal Shrines. GG, and well played. Game number 2, the 1-0 lead for Washed Up, and as we're heading into game number 2, so again, there were a couple of lag problems, unfortunately, with the engine in game number 1. Happens occasionally, should be resolved for game number 2, and, well, we'll find out as soon as we are in the game, but I honestly don't expect any problems now for the second game, so my apologies for that issue, but for the rest of the series we shouldn't really run into that anymore. Unfortunately, every now and then that problem sneaks in. I'm not 100% certain yet what causes it, but as you might probably know, there are always a few issues with the engines. Heroes engine not quite famous for always having a complete perfect experience there. And yeah, once that's solved, we should be ready here. Either way, Battlefield of Eternity is map number 2. We had a pretty sick setup actually for map number 1. I mean, a huge back and forth. I think we finished with level 24 on both sides, which was pretty insane. So right now we're looking at Battlefield, therefore a very brawly map again. And as it turns out, it's actually the map choice of Washed Up, so they want to brawl, they want to fight. It's the bans on Diablo and on Zeratul again, with pretty much the same ban pattern that we had in game number 1. You take away Make's potential tracer, you make sure that Backhold doesn't get access to... I mean, it's a fast ref so far. Doesn't get access to Tyrael, and now Make going straight into a Li Ming, since she just is better for the map, hands down. She's fantastic on Battlefield of Eternity. One of the most picked heroes here, for sure. Now, this is Battlefield, therefore Hammer is a serious threat. Hazu played Hammer a lot for Washed Up in the past, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if Wind and Rain decides to ban Hammer out in the next ban pattern here. So, yeah. Hanzo and Tyrande both get picked, so Smexy this time relying on Tyrande, trying to make sure that he gets that extra damage onto the Immortal itself with the Hunter's Mark. What are we seeing from Galne Gulnar on the other hand? Are they committing this time a little bit earlier to one of the tanks? Now, keep Murden in mind again. Murden still another hero that could be picked right now. It was not committed to on Infernal Shrines, but this is definitely much more a map where Murden can shine again, especially if you're obviously looking for a stun setup. But it's Jojo first of all, and Ana. So this time we're going to have the nano boost combo with the mage on the side of Wind and Rain. Washed Up can still get access to Jaina if they want to go for her, but they can't rely on Ana with the setup this time. So we have the front line taken, at least for Wind and Rain. There's still a couple out there that can be played. A Nubarak still up. So is Muradin, Garrosh, just to name a few here. But let's see what's actually getting banned out. Are they going to go for the offlane or for the second damage dealer? And Jimmy. No Jimmy in this case. Exterminator can be played here. I can just play through Ace in the hole, especially if you have additional slows. Johanna obviously supplying some. And now, is it going to be a hammer ban? That's my personal question. You already have with Johanna at least a hero that can try and play around it to an extent. But we'll see if that how that exactly is going to work out for them. Are they going to ban hammer? Or are they just going to say, well, that's fine? Nope, it's Yrel instead. They're targeting Eternal. They're saying, well, we're going to take Yrel away from you and let's see what else he can pull off then. Against Ana, they might be a bit cautious, because she is going to have a tough time if Eternal just hunts her down the entire game. But I really want to see if Hazo is going for hammer time now. Volskaya, great map for hammer. This one, there's Muradin, as we said before, with the Tyrande setup. Good stuns, the map much better for him than Infernal Shrines. And Arthur's for Eternal. There's a lot of slows, there's a lot of lockdowns. Actually, Reyna would be really good for them now too. But obviously they banned the hero. So now with the last two picks that we're seeing for Wind and Rain, what are we going to get on their end? With the Johanna and Ana pick so far, they still need their offlane. Could still go into... I mean, Thrall is still up there. If you want to go for full frontline, for example, you could pick Thrall with the Trash Lightning and play around that. And they pick Hammer. They go for the Hammer time, and they have Leoric again. Okay, so Skog on Hammer. That's a pretty neat setup that they're currently running here. It's a pretty nasty one, to be honest with you. There's a lot of lockdown on the other side, so Siege Tactics only gets you so far with Sergeant Hammer. At some point, when those stuns are hailing down, you might have a problem here. And Mene committing to Gul'dan. Are we going to see the Reign of Destruction again? We had it a few times already in Division S, and it was quite a lot of fun. The Reign of RNG. So, yeah, Battlefield of Eternity, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2, Washed Up against Wind and Rain. Game number 2, Battlefield of Eternity, Washed Up against Wind and Rain. The best of 5 continues with Hazops on Hanzo, JPL on Muradin, Eternal on Arthas, Mene on Gul'dan, and Smexy on Tyrande. So good old-fashioned Muradin Tyrande setup with Arthas on the Howling Blast. On the right side of the map, Make on Li Ming, Skog on Sergeant Hammer, Galnagulna on Ana, Max Passion on Leoric, and Berkult is heading into Johanna here. With again the Laws of Hope on level 1, so not going into any of the changed talents just yet. We might still see that later, but in this case there's no Iron Skin focus from him. So, obviously, we're going to see quite a bit of stacking going on, especially Mene wants to make sure that he gets the Echoed Corruption as quickly as possible. Rocking the money pick with his Gul'dan here, as we're having the 4-mans down at the bottom of the map. Well, not quite, 1 4-man that is. Up to the top lane, we actually have a 2 versus 1 setup, with Arthur's now facing off against Leoric plus Li Ming. We see that a bit more often lately, that we have a 2-3 split on the map, and Mene is already finding himself as the only range damage dealer down at the bottom, since we see Hanzo moving topside to help out in a 2 versus 1 situation. Now Gul'dan is actually a pretty cool pick against Hammer, just simply because you can really capitalize on the stationary position of Hammer with the Echoed Corruption, and Mene will be able to get a lot of that damage done, especially if they have Ruinous Affliction later on. As you can see, Hazops is not the only one that rotated over. JPL was also trying to help out and get the kill against Max Passion. They're not quite able to pull that off yet, but they definitely put a lot of pressure onto those 2 heroes. And this is exactly what I've been talking about. Those are the stacks coming in and Mene just capitalizing on that situation. I've been talking a little bit about the possibility to see the Reign of Destruction taken, and that's definitely a thing. Mene, I would assume, leans more so into Horrify. But then again, if you try and just simply zone out an area, Reign of RNG can be pretty powerful and strong there. So it's talent that we have seen played a little bit. but Mena, generally speaking, is more so the type that wants to destroy a team fight by using a good Horrify there. But you can definitely make arguments for the RNG ult. Even if you don't get a lot of damage out of it, just trying to buy yourself a bit more time to go for the objective while you zone the opponent out can be worth it. But we'll see what's going to happen around that. Way too early to tell. Obviously, the still preferred talent for in most of the games will still be Horrify. There's no doubt about that. Hanzo already working on one of the camps here on the left side. We're seeing the stacking process continue for Muradin, who's currently sitting at 6 stacks. Wants to go a little bit more here, but goes deep for this one, but doesn't get anything done there. But if you think about it, 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, we actually see Mena on 14 stacks, which is pretty significant. I mean, this is exactly the advantage that you have going up against the setup with Sergeant Hammer here. Level 4 talents are in, and now we have again the Sledgehammer taken. Again, the talent is still slightly bugged. Not really a big problem, as we said like 100 times in the past. So if you go for this, as you can see here, Blizzard added an additional functionality. Hitting a hero now grants an additional stack for his baseline quest as well. And there's a huge distinction that has to be made here. It doesn't actually apply to the Perfect Storm. It only applies to the baseline. So you get an advantage, or a small advantage, because the talent is bugged in the sense that if you hit heroes, you get your extra stacks. The problem is if you hit structures or minions, then the same applies too. So it allows you to stack the baseline a little bit quicker. Then again, if you go into that particular talent, you usually complete the baseline very quickly either way. And so it is a limited value that you have. There was a huge discussion when the entire talents were changed and people discovered the bug, how it's just too impactful, and it honestly isn't. Gives it an advantage, but only in the early game stages. You get the baseline quest completed a little bit sooner, but that's around it. Heroes Launch in the amateur scene, actually, the talent got banned out. And to my knowledge, in Division S, and we see it taken here, that wasn't really an issue so far. Most of the teams, we had actually multiple matches where both of the teams at some point picked Muradin, went into the talent, and that was without any trouble whatsoever. In terms of the builds, generally speaking, that we have outside of that, we're now seeing again the Charge Blast taken for Liming here. Muradin is obviously, through the Sledgehammer, also getting the additional damage output against the Immortal itself, which is one of the main reasons why you are actually picking Muradin now here. Not only is he obviously as a hero stronger than he was in the past, but you're obviously now also getting some additional pressure against the objective through Muradin and against structures later on too. So yeah, he's already starting to stack here quite quickly. And we'll see how JPL plays this. Again, is he going to use it against minions in the first place? Is another question if you accidentally hit something that's a completely different setup. But as you can tell, it's not really going to be a big problem. And in this case, he gets the extra stacks because the kill comes in against Johanna. So already a massive, massive discrepancy here between the baseline and what we're seeing on his level 1. 16-9 at this point. It's a really good setup. And another reason why there is a discrepancy, in case that you guys weren't aware, that's actually a question that pops up a lot in YouTube videos in particular. If your storm mode leads to a kill, you get additional points too. So that's why even without Sledgehammer as a pick on level 4, you oftentimes see a discrepancy between the level 1 stacks and the baseline. So with that said, we're now having 1 kill against 0, but we're seeing both teams fight heavily for the Immortal itself. And obviously with the Tirana setup, we have a good setup there. Whoa! Talking about it. The damage against Skog, yeah, that's the reason why we have Gul'dan picked against this lineup with Sergeant Hammer. And you can tell how Mena is already sitting at 25 stacks, only 4 minutes into the game. So he's really liking this one. And they get another kill, and that's the baseline completed already without even hitting a single minion or a single structure to proc that little bug that exists there. So a 4-minute baseline completion and 13 stacks on the Perfect Storm. So Muradin already murdering it. The stacks keep coming for the rest of the team too. And they're starting to also now have a potential lead on the Immortal itself. Now, they lost the halftime show. They're starting to get more aggression in as we have another stun coming through from Smexy, adding to his own stacks on level 4. The zone out on the right side with Eternal as the rest of the team is burning this one down. As we said before, JPL is starting to do solid damage against the Immortal now as well, thanks to the Sledgehammer. And all of a sudden, we see them take objective number 1. Now, Muradin has to retreat. It might actually be stopped here, and indeed is. He's low on mana. He won't be able to contribute a lot here. They get even more stacks in, and Mane is just killing it right now with that process. Now, Hammer obviously is going to become stronger as the game continues as well. We're currently focusing a lot on the stacking process from Washed Up, but let's not forget that especially around level 16 with the Giant Killer, Hammer is going to become pretty oppressive. And right now, with level 7 alone and the Hover Siege mode, it's already a pretty fantastic position for Skok that he has, where he can try and zone. Especially with Gulnagul now obviously being able to keep him alive and sitting farther in the back even. So there is a quick defense against the Immortal. That thing didn't do anything. I mean, honestly, that Immortal just did jack shit. There's nothing. I mean, the wall is even still there. Now they get the kill against the Muradin too. So we talk a lot about Washed Up here, but let's not forget, we have a very powerful setup for Wind and Rain. They have an insane Hammer lineup, and they have also Macke to capitalize on low HP heroes with resets through kills. So it's a pretty brutal lineup here for sure. So with this, we're having at the bottom of the map still our Leo versus Arthur setup, but the siege is on. The siege is definitely on. Mena is still trying to get something done here. They're still waiting for a couple of additional stacks for his level 1, of course, and gets them, sitting at 32 already, before we even have level 10. JPL is looking for another quick Stormbolt. 14 stacks for him. By the way, he didn't go into the thingy, the yellow thingy. Went give him the axe instead of Skullcracker. There we go. That's the name that I was looking for. Because that was a talent that got buffed in the recent patch too, and a lot of players were actually experimenting more with it. Definitely has a little bit more value now, but JPL has to be careful in the first place. I mean, look how Hammer is murdering this right now. They're actually losing maybe even 2 here. They take down Li Ming on the other hand, and all of a sudden with the flank coming in from behind, Hammer in trouble, but the kill against Muradin comes through as it's a 2-for-2 trade. Again, Hazorps trying to rush away. Yes, Mena is trying to leech some life and maybe get another Q through. Eternal is low and Max Passion comes in and wants the slow, but they're making the play for backhold, and Johanna is down. Eternal is dodging whatever he can, but he dies against Leoric, and Hazorps and Gulnagul fight it out. It's a double kill as the two kill each other. And now we have only a 1 versus 1 on the map, with Mena being the sole survivor against Max Passion, who's still in full HP. Few more stacks coming in, and Tomb comes through. Mena with a drain. The minions, on the other hand, are chipping in as well, and Mena moves out. 38 kills, oh sorry, 38 stacks for him, 18 for Muradin. He's already on the job together with Smexy. Absolute insane fight again. These two teams just deliver right now. It's a full Fiesta fight at the top, where it's just like everybody just goes all out here. Once again, Bakul comes in from the side trying to flank Smexy. That looks like it's going to work out, and it's a nice mace to the face moment for Max Passion on Leoric after we saw the BFG drop. Turanda already low. There's the kill against Hanzo. The resets keep coming for Li Ming. Macke, on the other hand, is still in trouble here. Mena obviously wants to get some hits in by himself now, but we have Eternal on the run. Muradin already jumped out, and they are starting to have some trouble here. 23 stacks, fantastic setup for Muradin, but that doesn't help you if you can't get the kills. Quest completed for Mena, 8 minutes and 30 seconds in, which is insane all by itself. Muradin with the avatar, can he jump out? Stormbolt, oh, talking about bolts, there's a big arrow connect that we're seeing from Hanzo, and that's Mena delivering another kill against Leoric. Problem is, during all of that, we had the Immortal focus down by Wind and Rain, and they took that one easy peasy. JPL again a little bit low. Max damage here from Gul'dan as he again gets the Echoed Corruption through. 26 stacks now for Muradin, so he's already packing a punch against heroes as well. That's quite a bit of good damage for him. It's 130 that we're seeing with every single hit that he gets out. And we're only 9 minutes into the game. Maki gets hit by Gul'dan here, but obviously with that Immortal, they want to break through the bottom wall, and they're making that easy peasy. 7 kills on each side. Gul'dan still has the ult ready. In comes the Blessed Shield, the flank! But Smexy actually is able to move out here, gets pushed out. And Macke with a nano boost, he wants the kill, but he doesn't connect the combo. Eternal again with the Army of the Dead is trying to turn it around against Max Passion here. Skok on Hammer still in the back line. They're getting pushed back, and Max Passion is max dead as he drops Hanzo with the last hit here. They're trying to make the play for the rest of the team now. Mena once again. The arrow not connecting. Mena waiting, of course, for the Horrify here, but can't get close enough. They're trying to make the play right now. There's the Horrify, and there's the kill. Down goes Hammer. And Max Passion going to be back in just a moment as we are seeing the rest of the team starting to move down to the camp. Topside, on the other hand, pushing into the structure. Eternal is already on his way with Arthas trying to grab that. But damn, this is a game. 31 stacks already for Muradin. Let's look where we are right now. 19,000 damage for Muradin. Not really too bad, considering. Obviously gets a little bit of siege damage out there too, but mainly against the Immortal. Not really focusing on anything else here. Mena, not really a surprise. 41,000 damage for him. I mean, with how much he can stack right now against Sergeant Hammer and how easy he gets those hits through, doesn't come as a shock that he has pretty good damage numbers and can pad them even more against Hammer. The only one, by the way, in this game that hasn't died yet. 80,000 damage also on the siege, so he's definitely... That Gul'dan pick is working out, let's just put it like this. So, once again, we're having up at the top lane, Eternal trying to hide a little bit. He still has to be careful that he doesn't get ganked, but both teams are focusing heavily on their camp once more. Muradin pushing through the bottom. And again, that sledgehammer value is starting to become more and more... Oh, well, becomes quite strong. Becomes more and more powerful. Against the objective here. Nice, Sleep Dart. Another Stormbolt probably going to come through in just a second. Arrow comes in. There's the Stormbolt, there's the stun, and there's the kill against Li Ming. That's a good old-fashioned Turan the Muradin comp with the help of Hanzo, and another Horrify destroys Bergholt. Johanna is dead, and that's 11 kills against 7 right now, with even more stacks coming through for JPL, who's currently sitting at 34. That damage output is starting to become slowly insane. There's no 16 yet for Wind and Rain, so Sergeant Hammer can't rely on Giant Killer just yet. Another Stormbolt connect here, dodged out by the siege tactics, but still we have the pressure on the left side. JPL with another one. There's the Mena setup as he gets the Echoed Corruption through. Runa's Affliction is going to be a disaster for Wind and Rain once that he has 16 for himself, but it's still really close. I mean, so far Washed Up has won the halftime show, don't get me wrong, but it's a really close call considering how heavily they already won the early game, but now they can just murder again with the sledgehammer value, and the rest of the team, the remaining HP of Immortal number 3, I want to say. And there's the setup. We're going to get an Entomb. Leo is in. There's that Entomb coming. BFG is through. Army of the Dead, and the kill against Arthas. Marke nearly dying as well, but they are able to get the kill, and now they are looking for the defense, obviously. Mark already sitting there. It's just like, dude, why the hell are you healing Bergholt? I need a heal and I need it now. Mena's already sitting there. Mark barely dodges it. The arrow from Hazops, on the other hand, doesn't connect. Hanzo misses the ult there. Another stun setup, and these stun chains, these CC chains, are just an invitation for Gul'dan to add more kills to his resume. Like, he's a hire for sure. If you're looking for an assassin, I can definitely recommend him. I mean, that's a recommendation right there. He's all linked in and everything. Once again, Maki gets attacked here. The CC's chains comes out, and the Horrify. Another kill. And at this point, Mena just absolutely on fire. The team working well around the stuns of Muradin with Tyrande, with Arthas, and then the damage dealers capitalizing on that quickly. Here's a 16, and that's now Runa's Affliction. And that's the point where you can really start to kiss your life goodbye, because this is going to make Gul'dan even more dangerous right now. They're starting to jump in. Keep is already down, and oh boy, is Wind and Rain in trouble. They need a big fight. They need a big boy moment. And who's going to deliver it? Is it going to be Li Ming after Nano Boost to get the continuous kills after resets? They need something, and they need it soon, or they are going to be in a world of pain. Damage output. I mean, look at Max Passion. He might actually survive this, and indeed he does because of Galna Gulnar. But yeah, Mena is sitting at 57,000 damage against heroes right now. Runa's Affliction hasn't even found a lot of value, but it's honestly insane. We're having everybody else starting to move down. They wait for 16, they need 16, they need that Giant Killer to put more pressure onto Arthas and Muradin. But things are looking quite dicey. The damage output of Muradin is currently at 28,000 damage. I mean, put Muradin's hero damage in relation to what we're seeing from Sergeant Hammer. That's a 5,000 damage difference. That's honestly not all that much. So you look at the stacks, and he's at 40, which means that's 200 extra damage with every single Stormbolt. And that's against heroes. That's not even talking about the Immortal, where Sledgehammer, of course, gives you the value. 16, on the other hand, is now ready. And that gives us Giant Killer. That gives us the Mirror Ball. And it gives us the Royal Focus. So those are great talents. In comes again the setup. Hazops. Oh, and he is down. There we go. Now we're talking. Marke with a reset, trying to go for the kill. Keep Skok in mind. Hammer with Giant Killer is all of a sudden starting to absolutely murder these kids. JPL in trouble, drops the stone form here. They're trying to get the kill against Backhull, but they can't quite secure it. And now Hammer is pushing through. With Giant Killer, this might be a different game. Good stuns against Backhull, but not good enough to drop him here. 15 minutes, and we have the quest completed for Tyrande. Very nice follow-ups from Smexy throughout the entire game thus far. But still, 13 kills against 9. 17 against 16, and the next Immortal spawning in 3 seconds. This isn't over yet. There is a lead, definitely. 4 washed up, but this game is not done with yet. Skog is jumping in. They're starting to get the lead here. Again, at the front line, they're starting to go for the pressure. Mane flanking, JPL protecting him, trying to get the Stormbolts through. Hitting 1, hitting 2, going in again. Arrow comes in, and the kill against Leoric. Leoric down already. We see washed up. They're aiming for the lead. They want the 2-0 here against Wind and Rain in this best of 5. And they're starting to push straight in again with Mane trying to zone them out here. But obviously, you look at the objective. And Wind and Rain, they have pretty much won the halftime show here. Now Washed Up is trying to fight back, but there's the flank attempt. We're going to soon see Maka poke against the bot lane and trying to get this one. It's pretty much even Steven at this point. And we are going to have that big boy fight once that Leo is back. And that's another 5 seconds out. And Ults are already on the side of the red team. Wind and Rain, they haven't lost this yet. That level 16 power spike was an important one. And just look how they are melting Muradin away. Muradin gets absolutely murdered whenever he gets even close to Sergeant Hammer. And that's where Mane comes into play. Mane needs to get those echoed corruptions in. He needs to pressure. And he's trying to do exactly that. There's the lockdown. Mane looking for the setup. Gets it. And drops him to half HP. That was an easy peasy one. But Ana is still sitting in the backline getting the heals out. Hammer again is needed. Needs those auto attacks against that front line that is always looking for the stuns. Hanzo already with the arrow. Here comes the N2 missing as well. The BFG a little bit late, but obviously has a wind-up time. So both of those missing. Unfortunate now for Wind and Rain. Those were important ults. And they missed them. Didn't get anything for them. Again, the flank from the side here, but as long as Hammer is protected, they will be in a decent spot. Mane with the damage now, with a poke, JPL in trouble. In comes the combo, Marke from the side, Blast Shield already used. Immediately Smexy coming in with a Celestial Attunement and zoning that out. Leo moving out, everybody moving away. Wind and Rain in trouble, Hammer in trouble. That's the more important part. Backhull also about to drop, and that's the end of him. They're jumping again with another Horrify, and that's Hammer time over for now. Market tries to get a kill, tries to get a reset. He can't get it, and in the meantime, the core has fallen to 59%. Market dies too, and the next wave of catapults is coming in any second. The core has already suffered, and they are looking like they go for the next kill, and indeed they do. Leo is down 18 against 9 kills right now. We have 50 stacks nearly for Muradin. JPL murdering it, and they're nearly on level 20. They're already making the play, and at this point, Sledgehammer value with the Stormbolt alone is already insanity. 82,000 damage by Mane, the only player to not fall in this game, and we have Washed Up taking the 2-0 lead against Wind and Rain in this best of 5 series in Division S. Game number 3, Tomb of the Spider Queen, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to roll and rumble. Rock and roll, ready to rumble, ready to roll. Well, we're ready for everything and anything. Tomb of the Spider Queen is the map, and with a 2-0 lead for Washed Up, Wind and Rain obviously has to start to turn this around if they want to get a couple of hits in here and have a chance of maybe starting not only a reverse sweep, but just winning a couple of maps would already help too. So, for the time being, we can once again state that Washed Up has taken the map choice. Or, well, actually the other way around. Wind and Rain has again chosen first pick, first ban. Therefore, Washed Up after they were able to choose map number 2, which was Battlefield of Eternity. They now also had the choice for the third map, which is Tomb of the Spider Queen. Tacita banned out, since we're seeing a lot of double support these days. It's actually surprising that we didn't see it in this series. There's a couple of teams that definitely heavily focus on double support these days. But yeah, so let's see what we're having in terms of picks here. Especially Gul'dan could be something we're seeing again. But when we're talking about mages and when we're talking about Mena, I said it in game number 1, I have to say it here again. There is a chance that we're going to see Kel'Thas. Depends a little bit on the bans, don't get me wrong. It's one of the weird things actually that always happens on YouTube, where especially people that don't really watch that many videos, you know, they don't quite understand that the meta between Storm League, especially on the lower ranks, but even on the higher ranks, and actual competitive and coordinated play is very different. And they're always missing heroes like Khaldor and others without really understanding that while those heroes might add value, they're just other heroes that are better in that role. I talked about it earlier, but I had one guy that actually argued in one of the Division 7 games that he was very proud. He's a master player. And he said that Tennis is one of the best offlaners in the game. And I was just like, oh, alright, Master League is worse these days than I thought. And I felt it's already bad enough as it is whenever I play. But nope, apparently that's not only people trolling, that's people that actually seriously believe that that is a perfect pick there. So yeah, stuff like that happens quite a bit. And yeah, that kind of a disconnect between solo play and what happens on the competitive level. Sometimes a little bit rough. Sometimes a little bit rough when talent choices are discussed and things, but yeah. Either way, in this case, I'm pretty sure we will be spared any Artanis on the off lane. But we might see that Khaldor, which is what started that little dialogue, that little monologue. It's more so about what else is going to be picked away. There's always that Jaina factor, obviously, and in this case we're already having Liming on the other side, taken early by Make again, but Jaina could, for example, be banned out or picked. But this is, together with Infernal Shrines, definitely one of the better maps for Khaldor, like hands down. Not only do you have a great setup for your level 1, and yes, for all of the players in the lower leagues, Convection is not a good pick outside of Abrams. So Mana Addict is the weapon of choice, and you can obviously stack it quite quickly here. And then move into a setup around the AoE damage from him. But, as you can tell once again, with the early commitment to Jaina, who is just better in that setup, plus Ana, that move is already out. But we've seen a couple of Khaldor's games by Mena. We have seen a couple. You don't see too many. Again, other mages are just better right now. But has been played. Not completely useless. There's the Johanna pick, and we see the baby face. Alright, Gulnar with Anduin trying to bring him in to turn things around here on the support side. So no Malfurion this time, no Tyrande. Ana picked more so for the nano boost than anything else, obviously. But yeah, I want to see the heavy frontline with this now. The cool thing about Anduin is really just like his ability to save targets. It's a little bit like that Garrosh factor, right? When you have someone out of position and you can save them. This is probably one of the coolest things that you can pull off of the hero. Right now we're also having Maiev banned out. But again, note how some of those priorities on the heroes have shifted heavily after the latest patch. So Ana in this game actually still prioritized quite highly, but doesn't really deserve a early ban position anymore, nor an immediate first pick. Is more so something that you see in combo, in this case with Jaina. Outside of that, she's on even prioritized lower. Maiev banned on the 3rd position, same true for Zeratul. Just another indicator here. And what are we gonna get for especially JPL? Are we gonna get another Stitches setup? With Jaina you can definitely make that argument. Doubt it slightly, but if there is a map where we're going to see that Stitches again, it's going to be here. And JPL actually played Stitches last time that they played on Tomb of the Spider Queen. That double mage, he still goes for it, wow. Even after they already picked Jaina, we have seen a bit more double mages lately. It's not really a huge meta switch or anything, but we have seen a couple of double mage setups. The interesting part is that during the times of HGC, there were actually quite a few teams that started squimming with double mages and had okay-ish success with that. And they always said, well, it depends a bit on what our opponent picks, it depends a little bit also on what map it is, but we are confident to bring out a double mage at some point. Never really came to it. I mean, we had 1-2 in that baseline, but it never really became a bigger staple. Now we're having Stitches also taken with the gravity labs. That makes obviously a little bit more sense now for the additional lockdown after the hook. But boy, we are definitely in for a treat here. Double mage setup with Ana. And yep, main one is Khaldor, and on the other side we're seeing Phoenix. Anduin is in play, plus Urel, so this is going to be a good one. Tomb of the Spider Queen, potentially the last map of the best of 5 series, but let's see what Wind and Rain can pull off here. Game number 3, and we have a double mage setup, as we just discussed during the draft, for washed up with Hazorbs on Jaina, Main on Khaldor, Stitches on JPL on Stitches. Eternal on Leoric, and we're seeing Smexy on Ana. On the other side of the map, it's Make on Liming. We're currently checking out Skok on Phoenix, Galnagulna on Anduin, and we're having Max Passion on Urel with Backhold on Jojo. Alright, hyped for this one. Double Mage, again, as I said before, sometimes we had a couple of teams practice that for HGC. Didn't really see it a lot there, but this is, like, one of the things... Okay, here's a couple of things about the double mage setup. Normally one of the big arguments against double mages was always that you're very cooldown dependent, and if your opponent plays well around that, baits cooldowns out and plays around them, they can easily take you apart. So it was always preferred to have a sustainable damage dealer in your lineup as well, just so that you are not dependent on certain time windows when you can actually deliver a punch. The advantage that you oftentimes have through double mages is that most of them deal quite a bit of AoE or deliver heavy burst damage, so if you actually unload all of your cooldowns onto a single target, you have a huge potential of getting quick kills, and this is one of the biggest arguments in favor of that. So obviously also your mana dependency is another issue that can be a problem, but that's solved on this map at least through constant rotations and those globes that you can get. And a lot of those heroes obviously depend on these globes. But here you can tell exactly what we just talked about, that burst damage alone. I mean, Kelthas in this case isn't even here, but just this setup alone is super dangerous. If Mena would have been here and could have followed the hook up with the gravity lapse, I pretty much guarantee you that would have been a kill. And that is the thought process here too. You have the burst damage mainly coming from Hazorbs, but it's Kelthas who provides the additional lockdown after a good hook. And we're going to see a lot of that. But it's really a game for globes at this point. You want to have them not only for Jaina's level 1, but you also want to have it for Mana Addict on Kelthas, for the shield, and obviously with the Hungry for More on Stitches, that hit point pool is heavily going to capitalize on additional globes. And this is something that they're going to fight for whenever they can. And those rotations that we're currently seeing from Washed Up already give them pretty much a dominant position in most of these setups. Level 1 for Anduin, again, the bold strategy. So far, nobody has given him a proper haircut, so we're still a little bit away from the bald strategy. I personally prefer that. Personal reasons, nothing particular here. But down here, I'm gonna get that hook. I'm just moving away from it. So yeah, this is gonna be, again, an interesting one, but already there's a lot of CC with the Sleep Dart, Gravity Lapse, slows on Leo. There's definitely tools. JPL on the other hand is still taken down a notch here in the hit point department. Obviously those Siege Giants were snuck in by Wind and Rain a little bit earlier. And yeah, with that we are having them in a very interesting setup here, where they can start to pressure the bot lane wall before we even have the Web Weavers in play. The focus on the Divine Star again with the Moral Compass, pretty much the norm for Anduin when we talk about his build here. And a little bit of a cleave setup on the other side with a playtime. We always want Stitches with a little bit more playtime, and in this case, he actually gets it. But look at the stacks here. 11 stacks already on Mena, so he is starting to get closer and closer. Has even the double control over those. So this is actually fantastic for him, and he helps out JPL with that too. So if you dominate these rotations, again, one of the crucial points is, if you dominate the rotations and you dominate those formats, it's not only about you claiming all those globes that your opponent's wave drops, but sometimes you will be able to also secure your own globe and get a double globe in these waves. And this is exactly what we're currently seeing from Washed Up. It's one of the reasons why they fight. Oh my god! The blink! Make with the sick reactions here. That would have been a kill for sure. If he gets dragged into the tower range, even if it's just for one volley from both and then a bit of follow-up damage, he would have fallen there. But that was a fantastic move by Make, moving away from this. But as I said before, this early game is already starting to pan out quite nicely for Washed Up. They're looking strong here. I mean, 12 stacks already on Stitches, 4 minutes in. It's pretty solid. 15, 16 for Mene. He's going to have his shield soon. JPL might actually fall here. And does. Stitches down for the first time. They're trying to get those additional gems. And Mene comes in with a great gravity lapse from the side. Turn-in potential now on the side from Wind and Rain. Both of them have the turn-in potential. There's also a little bit of a battle over the bottom turn-in point here between Max Passion and Eternal. Max Passion trying to interrupt as much as he can. Backhold again sitting here, and this looks like we're going to see the first Web Weaver wave come into play for Wind and Rain. Only 5 missing. That should be an easy one for them. Damage against Mena. He's sitting at 16 stacks, by the way, so far. And in the meantime, we have Marker with the attempt to make sure that they're getting the first objective, and indeed they do, so they lock that down for themselves. They are eager, obviously, to start a bit of a snowball here. I mean, they're down 0-2 in the best of 5. They really need to make sure that they are starting to gain some momentum here, so that they can at least win 2 with the Spider Queen and then work on a potential reverse sweep against Washed Up. That's not going to be easy. Eternal, if they can kill him at the bot lane, that would have been a dream, but they can't. Problem is that Max Passion all of a sudden is in trouble, gets slowed and gets dropped. Skork is jumping out. That's a few gems lost, and obviously the bigger problem is that they just lost. Oh my god, that hurts. I was just about to say that they lost a hero as the Web Weavers push in and they can't get as much value now. But with Eternal falling and Leo dropping how many gems? 23, 25? That's a big blow against Washed Up. That's a huge blow against them, and they're losing more down at the bottom of the map now too. Keep in mind, this wall was actually severely damaged by the Siege Giants that got claimed in the early game. So this is one of the main reasons why they can get so much damage done here. Hooks come through again. 18, 19 stacks for Mena. He's really about to get his quest reward already. And we're also seeing that hit point pool obviously increase for JPL. At this point, he's sitting at 14 stacks, and that gives him an additional bonus health of 420 already. Mena with a turn in. They're getting close, but they won't be able to complete it just yet. But he is going to be, well, he's going to be in a better spot with that additional safety of getting rid of those. But as you can tell, there's a big difference now. Many gems these guys still hold. So that kill against Leo was a problem. And now a level 10 is in there too. Salvo, Blessed Shield. What's the babyface going to go for? Actually, we're having in this case the binding heal taken by him. Alright, not a full Divine Star focus from him. Max attack at the bot lane again against Eternal. He goes down, and with those Siege Giants, they're going to get the fort too. Or at least they should. Fight at the top lane though. Max Passion needs to be a bit careful. Smexy wants to get the channel. Should get the channel. Max Passion is... Ooh, okay. Jumps in. He definitely has a lot of confidence, and his team is rotating, so well, they can have that. But there's the kill against Urel. A little bit too greedy. Ooh, the ring against Phoenix. Oh, perfection. What a setup again, and another hook and potentially another kill. The body blocks are there, but the babyface is actually able to save them. Yep. There we go. Nick from the Backstreet Boys just saved Johanna. You might be a little bit jealous of her hairstyle, but saved her anyways. So with this, we're having not only quite a few gems relieved from the hands of Wind and Rain, but we have the big push now happening against the red team as Washed Up is starting to push this in. Yeah, taking down the middle of the map most likely. Hook in this case is actually connecting only the structure here. Talon, by the way, the light bomb. A little bit of light bomb action around Urel is what we're going to get here. There's already the salvo. Stitch is eating the damage at the front. He has 15 gems, and correction, he had 15 gems. Marker gets the reset, goes in, tries to get another kill, but goes in a little bit too deep and gets taken down. And so does Urel. Double kill with Smexy barely surviving. But what a setup once more. Bot lane nearly falling, top lane fall having suffered severe damage. Gulnar goes down. The babyface is dead again. With that, we're also having 18 stacks. It's 540 extra health for Stitches. Not too bad. A lot of damage against the structures. Bot lane fallen, mid lane nearly dropped, top lane half HP. So all of a sudden we're having Washed Up in the lead. It was such a fantastic start, honestly, for Wind and Rain. Taking Leo down was probably the biggest win they had with the first objective. Just being able to take 25 gems away from your opponent gives you a massive advantage. But now the entire game is flipping in favor of Washed Up. When it comes to gems, they are still slightly behind. Not by a lot, don't get me wrong. But still, this is a setup where with a talent lead, we're now having even more aggression from Washed Up as they're starting to move in here. Now Urel with a deep dive. Big damage from Urel, from Jaina, but once again Anduin saving another target. Eternal, I think he needs glasses. That entomb went nowhere. Alright. Double vision maybe. I mean, maybe he's drunk. You never know. So, yeah. Enjoying all those European vodkas or something like that. Like, we don't know, but that entomb hit definitely nothing but that air. It's a zoning entomb. zoning into him. Similar to the zoning hook and the zoning Stormbolt, just a little bit more sophisticated. Created space. 25 stacks now for Mena. So far Jaina hasn't completed her level 1 yet. She needs a little bit more of that globe stacks. Maka has to jump out after the hook connects. But obviously now we're having 13 versus 13. Starting to make the plays there. Stitches. Oh yes, he is getting murdered there. Has already a decent hit point pool. It's an additional 600 HP that he has through the stacks on the Hungry for More on level 1. But that still doesn't make him invincible. We're not there just yet. There's a really nice escape again from Marke. The ring connecting only with Johanna, but she had the Iron Skin out. That's a good setup for them. That's 2 big cooldowns burned and with very little value on top of that. The hook comes in. There's the light bomb as we're seeing Max Passion jump in, and Stitches is down. Stitches down. They're trying to make the play now for Leo. Eternal on the run, and they actually get away for the time being. Turn in potential now for Wind and Rain for the second web we will face for the red team. Not enough gems left for Washed Up to try and threaten that as well. Mena on level 13 with the Pyromaniac as expected. And with the Burned Flesh, he's still getting the damage in. Talking damage, let's take a quick look at it. 31,000 for Jaina, 28,000 for Kalthas. Nothing compared to Li Ming with 34k, and Phoenix even above that with 41,000. And now the pressure play here in the middle of the map from Wind and Rain, even before the Web Weavers come through. Starting to push that in, starting to take down another 4 top lane, also getting pressured by the objective itself. Mena trying to prevent the worst here. Realizes that there is a rotation towards him and moves away quickly. But we'll have to give up some of the position here, for sure. So now we're having the mid lane eliminated. 13 on both sides, with 16 a little bit quicker. Soon on the horizon for Wind and Rain. Mena still with the defense at the top, doing what he can here. Taking the Web Weavers down, claiming the gems. Talking about gems, though, Azops and JPL, they don't have any, so if they fall, that's not a problem. Great Entomb here. In this case, fantastic Entomb, actually. Completely zoning them out and saving Azops. No chance to follow through, blocking the entire distance here. Really, really well done by Eternal. Mena at the top side, still playing it super safe now that he knows that there's a rotation coming his way. Quest completed now also for Jaina. Obviously, Mena still continuing with the stacks. Currently sitting at 27, 23 for Stitches. And that Stitches hit point pool is going to become a bigger and bigger issue towards the late game. We've seen a lot of Stitches players with 9,000 plus HP in competitive play, even hit 10k at some point, and then you're nearly unkillable. It's really tough to get value, but at this point it's Eternal who's in trouble again, and he dies once more. And he had the gems. There comes the quick engage, and they even steal the cap away. That ring connects, but it doesn't connect enough, and there goes Jaina. 2 kills, gems lost, things are looking grim. Blessed Shield comes out, Maka says YOLO, goes in for the kill and gets another one. Ana is down, Maka definitely having fun here at this point. And things are starting to become dicey again for Washed Up. Wind and Rain takes the entire level lead right now. They have still a level 16, and they are starting to absolutely murder those walls now too. They have pressure everywhere. And with 2 heroes down, there's little to do for Washed Up, but sit tight. I try to turn it against Backhold. That ain't happening. Or is it? Gravity Lapse was great, but Gulnar comes in with Anduin and makes sure that Johanna is not falling yet. But yeah, good attack, at least to buy a little bit of time for them. Jaina's already back to business. Boss, obviously, always a concern, and with the attack forced, with that fight forced, they had to react and spend resources to save Johanna, which means that nobody could rotate to the boss and try and take that. 58 gems already delivered means that only 2 more are needed for another turn in for Wind and Rain. That's a bigger problem. JPL looking for the hook, finds the hook, and there's the sleep dart, and there's the kill against Phoenix. Phoenix down, and we have another play for Backhold. Yep, good damage comes out, but the hook will be needed. Once again, I'd assume the good slows coming through. Backhold is in so much trouble, and another hook, another kill. Nicely done, and all of a sudden they're back. Honestly, if I'm Wind and Rain, I feel trolled right now. Every time I have a lead, my opponent gets kills out of nowhere. Well, I guess we shouldn't say out of nowhere. They made real good combos happen, but it just feels like this, you know, from Wind and Rain's perspective. You are ahead, you know that you have a lead, and then all of a sudden there's just kill and kill against you, and you start to fall behind, and that even leads to a boss attempt from Washed Up. Wind and Rain, they might know what's coming, but they can't really stop it. We're having even more aggression against Max Passion here as the camp pushes through, but that boss is going to be taken. And that is obviously going to commit to even more pressure topside. And they turned in as well. Let's not forget about that. They turned in too. Eternal needs to be cautious and is actually able to save himself here. He's on 500 HP. You know, that Web Weaver isn't going to do anything. It's more so about the top lane than anything else. Actually, they're taking that on really quickly. That Web Weaver is still going to get some value. I am surprised that nobody pushes with this. Feels like they're not trying to go for the top key, but instead try and push through the middle for the fort first. And yeah, here comes the rotation. They give them a bit of time for the defense. Not much more. Obviously, the fishing hook is now in. So yeah, there comes the Entomb again. They're trapping two. They're going for backhold. The ring and the kill. Backhold is down. Johanna struggling a lot. And Max Passion is losing HP after AP. Gets hooked in again. Gets maybe saved. Wow. Anduin, look at that. The babyface actually adding some value here. Alright. So with that, we're having the top fort about to be killed. And, sorry, the top keep killed. The mid fort has been eliminated. And down at the bottom, we're seeing a little bit more damage too. Okay, not bad. And even more pressure to the mid lane as they're trying to drop the towers here. Trying to see if they can maybe get some damage onto the keep itself. But that is a really nice setup now for them. Alright, tick, boom. There we go. Obviously, with level 20, Flamethrower becomes a huge alternative now also for Mene, which means that he can stay at a distance and just fire away with those flame strikes. And on 20, they get Buried Alive, which is another huge advantage for them, especially against a hero like Phoenix or Liming, because those two have been trying to jump out of fights so much. I mean, dodging hooks, dodging like any stun, but I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon anymore with this. Yeah, JPL with the hooks from the side here again. 29 stacks, by the way, on his level 1, meaning he's nearly at nearly at 900 additional hit points. Hit point pool currently at 7,500 on level 20 for him. If you compare that with Johanna, let's have a quick look at Jojo. Actually, at this point, not even looking at Jojo. At this point, we're having the Blessed Shield missing. Looking at you after all, 6,000 hit points for her. That's the Buried Alive. Nice move again by Anduin, but not enough. Down goes Urel. She's eliminated. They're trying to go for another hook, but this time it didn't connect with Phoenix, and he's able to survive. But that keep is most likely not going to be able to do that, because that push is strong. And again, they have the AoE, and they burn the wave down way quicker than I expected. So now we have the Glyph of Faith taken. A little bit more safety plays here from them. Seraphine, and more importantly, Indestructible. Jojo really needs this one, because so far she's been a punching ball throughout this game. 4 deaths on Urel, 2 on Johanna. Focused a lot. Mene, again, the only player in this entire game that hasn't died yet. It's a little bit of a pattern here. Playing it super safe in that backline. 10 kills against 8. Not a really big discrepancy in kills, actually. It's just like 2 difference. But you look at the map, there's a very noticeable difference between how the 2 teams are doing so far. Mene at this point, let's take a quick look at his mana addict stacks. 38 for him. And yeah, there's pressure through the top lane catapults. Well, 18 minutes in, they do some work. But they're not going to do too much yet. And again, the moves through the middle. And again, I talked about it earlier. 2 gems are missing. Those 2 gems for Wind and Rain have now been missing for how long? I mean, it feels like it has been 5 minutes or something. So again, trying to hook into the camp here. 32 stacks for them. 45 against 58 turned in gems. Both of them waiting for that next wave. Once more, starting to move through the middle with that camp. Trying to also see at the side if they can maybe get another hit. Backhold is sitting there. They're not even checking. Are they going to try and fight here? Level 20 is ready on both sides. They let this one go. Hook misses again. And they are starting to defend the mid lane here. But there's a second wave that comes. And now that's the opportunity, of course, to try and get some kills in right here. Starting move through, 52,000 damage, 68 on Marke. In comes the Blessed Shield, Putrid Bile used to. Where's the Buried Alive? Where's the Entomb? Nice setup by Marke, trying to put Hazobs into an awkward spot, but that ult use from Liming didn't do enough to secure them a kill. But they are defending for now. They are holding tight. They're holding on to this. The keep hasn't really suffered too much damage yet. And they're starting to move back again. Only 5 gems in the hands of Washed Up, so they're not going to be in a position to get the next objective anytime soon. But then again, if Wind and Rain can actually push out and get that Web Weaver wave, they might be able to take down some structures. At least the fort at the top lane. Probably more than that. I mean, you get a keep here, and all of a sudden we're talking even game again. 20 minutes in, this is starting to become heavily important. The hooks keep coming, but they just don't connect. JPL having trouble to really find a target. Obviously a lot of blind hooks too. Rolling the dice here. But it's, again, the turn-in spots. 11 gems now. 54 turned in for Washed Up. 6 missing against 2 missing. And Scott gets it. Yeah, there's the hook. Hook is in. Iron Skin is out immediately. Red Web Weavers are going to be on the way. And they're starting to jump in once more. They're starting to make the plays here. Trying to go for a kill even before all of this happens. Eternal moving out. Pretty low, but able to escape. JPL moving through the middle. No problem for him either. Maka with another attempt to go for Leo. But there's the hook. The hook against Urel. Ult already used. Jumps into the Buried Alive and gets saved by Anduin. The ring connects with Johanna, but that's not going to be enough. They're trying to go for the slows, though. A lot of CC, a lot of control from Washed Up, and they're putting it to the test against Backhul, who dodges out on another quick hook. A lot of aggression here from Washed Up, and those were some really dicey moments for Wind and Rain, but they keep their entire team alive, and now with the Web Weavers, they have a chance to move through. Top 4 is falling, there's no doubt about that. The question is, what can you do at the bottom of the map? Can you try and go for the keep? Can you finally drop one here? Can you equalize the structural position on the map against Washed Up? Seraphim already used 73,000 damage by Market. He's murdering it. He's trying to go for those reset kills, and they're getting the first one against Leo. Eternal is down. Wind and Rain, they want to have it. They want to put their point onto the scoreboard. Want to make sure that they win at least one map here. Start the reverse sweep. And the keep is down. The keep has been eliminated. Haza has been rotating into the top lane in the meantime, making sure that Web Weaver at least is not going to break through the keep itself after the fort has already fallen. Down at the bottom of the map, the catapults have to be dealt with too, and Mena is the one taking responsibility here. But the rest of Wind and Rain is already on the keep in the middle. They want to get the lead here now, and they are about to do exactly that. Good damage coming out from Mena, despite the fact that JPL moved them out. Still gets the burn flesh set up here, but 2 keeps down. Once again the jump. Here comes also the ult from Anduin. Ooh, the light bomb, but JPL, can he get away? Yes, he can. They go for Max Passion again. Max Passion in max trouble. Backhult also. The 20 gets procced any second, and there we have it. The slows and the kill. Anduin is dead. The baby face is down. They're trying to go for a Skog. Eternal. He wants the mace, and he gets it. That's the second kill, and Maka loses 26 gems as he bites the dust. And all of a sudden, the top lane is open. Boss turn in. They have everything at their disposal right now. They don't even go for the turn in here. They could have easily spent a few seconds for the turn in, but they're trying to go for the core immediately. They know there's only Johanna alive. There's another 37 seconds until Anduin is going to be back. But what is he going to do? Cry about it? Most definitely. But probably little more than that. They go for game, and they want the 3-0 here. And it looks like Washed Up is actually going to get it. The shields are down. As the Buried Alive out again, and they are mercilessly burning down that core. This is going to be the perfect series here for the team in blue. Washed Up, they take their victory against Wind and Rain with a 3-0, taking Tomb of the Spider Queen as the 3rd map of the series.